Welcome to Retiring Well. Listen, today I'm joined with Art Canfield, John Torbett, and myself, Larry Flynn. We're all partners, senior advisors here with Centennial Wealth. We got a great show for you today. I got three different topics. We're going to be talking about Social Security, guys, how to calculate it. Many people know they've got Social Security coming, but how do they calculate that, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Going to talk about this bull market we're in. When do we get out? You know, people are getting nervous. We've been in this for about 10 years now, and they want to know, when do we get out? When's a good time, right? Should we just hold, right? And then I'm going to talk about the power of indexing. You know, there's a lot of financial instruments out there. Usually they have to do with insurance in some way, but it's the power of indexing where a product can go up in value but can't go down. So I'm going to talk about how that works. So stay tuned. We've got a great show for you.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Welcome back to Retiring Well. Listen, guys, in this next segment, I'm going to be talking about when people should get out of the market.
All right.
And again, I talked about the gambling. I mean, most people, they just don't know what to follow, right?
Oh, Larry, Jessica and I went out to a conference in Las Vegas, and we were like, okay, I guess while we're here, we've got to try this out. I put $5, I think, in a slot machine. I'm still upset to this day. I lost my $5. I have not gambled since then, and I'm still upset here 10 plus years later about losing that $5. So gambling is not for me.
I hear you. I'm the same way. I can't lose money that way myself. So, all right, so just stay tuned. We're going to show you in this next segment when you maybe need to be getting out of the market. Hi, welcome back. Listen, today's show, we're talking about when do you get out of the market? If you're not that person that wants to ride the market all the way down to half its value in hopes that it might come back, and it does come back, doesn't it not? I mean, after the last two bear markets we had, 2000 through 2002 and then in 2008, yes, indeed, the market came back. But it took 5-6 years for it to get back to where it was at. Is that something you want to weather? Well, let's say I'm working. Okay, I'm in what we call the growth and accumulation phase of my life. I've got a job, I'm working, I've got my retirement savings over here. I don't need to touch that yet. Am I somebody that might be able to wait 5-6 years for the market to come back to where it was at? Certainly I am, especially if I don't have to touch that retirement savings yet. But what if I'm that person that's soon to be retired or retired? I'm now entering what's called the preservation of wealth and income phase of my life. My risk tolerance might be a little bit different. And I may be concerned being this close to retirement about losing half the value. Let's say I'm in retirement. I no longer have a job. Now I'm relying on that retirement savings for income. Do I want to see it drop to half its value? Most likely not. So as I'm looking at the market, and I'm trying to decide, okay, I know I'm in the market, I know there's some market fluctuations, but I don't want to see it possibly drop to half its value. When do I get out? When do I get out? I can tell you as a general rule, a buy and hold strategy when I'm near retirement, in retirement, is not going to work. If I'm that person taking, I'm taking income from that portfolio. Let's say I'm taking 5% as a general rule. And all of a sudden the market drops to half its value. Now that 5% I'm taking and relying on income is now 10% of my portfolio. That means from here on out, if I experience that for 1 year, that means from here on out, I've got to get a better than 10% growth rate in that portfolio to even start growing it back. That's hard to do, folks, in the kind of environment we find ourselves in. So that is absolutely something that I'm going to want to avoid if I'm near retirement or in retirement. And I dare say, if I'm in that growth and accumulation phase of my life, is that even something I want to experience? You know, yeah, is it fun to sit there and watch my statement 1 month and then watch it over a year's time possibly be half what it was when that's my hard-earned money going into that account? depends on you. It depends on what you want. But if you're that person that would just as soon avoid big market declines like that, then when do you get out? I can tell you that the market as a general rule trades at a multiple of its earnings. Everything is about corporate earnings. Historically, the market has traded pretty close to 17 times its earnings. All right, so what's the focus got to be? All about that. Now, there's a lot of news that you hear. You know, there's all kinds of bad news, and you'll find people react to that news. You know, you could have a supercomputer and it could have 1,000 factors in it. All these fundamentals that affect corporate earnings and historically how it's affected earnings. And we can put all those factors into that supercomputer to predict what the market's going to do accordingly or what earnings are going to do accordingly, right? But there's one thing you can't put into that supercomputer, and that's going to be human emotion. All right, the fact that when people hear bad news, they react to the bad news. If they're in the market and they're scared about the market, they're going to get out, whether they should or not. Now, this is key. There's a lot of bad news that come out. I saw a lot of this happen in the fourth quarter of 2018. We heard government shutdown, China trade war, you know, the feds were raising their rate. There was all kinds of news and people were getting out and they were driving the market down. But when it was all said and done and the dust settled, the market was, for the most part, trading pretty close to where it's always traded in the past. So again, having a discipline, a discipline to really pay attention to the things that need to be paid attention to is very, very important. So here's where we come into play, folks. We can give you a better idea of what's happening in the market. We can educate you to tell you, where that market is right now. We can look at your portfolio and see, how you're positioned, how much risk you're taking on, and see if there may be some adjustments aren't necessary to be made. If you're that person that doesn't want to maybe follow the market all the way down to half its value, would just soon get out, be safe, and wait for a better time to get in, then give us a call. That's what we do all day long. I look forward to meeting with you.
Today's retirement challenges can be mastered. Knowledge is power, because you can confidently plan ahead and make educated financial decisions for a successful and comfortable retirement. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors, specializing in retirement planning, serving all of northern Michigan with offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. And we invite you to an informative and exciting live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner. You'll learn highlights of the new Tax Reform Act, the difference between the fiduciary and suitability standard of care, how an IRA gets taxed to a surviving spouse, how two similar portfolios can end up with two drastically different results, what a bull market is and how long it can last, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Thursday, June 13th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important live event. Educated financial decisions. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Larry, that was really interesting, and I think a lot of folks out there, this is a really big part of their lives, and especially heading into retirement, it's a critical point to do that. I think of the market in these situations kind of like a used car. You have that car that starts failing and starts giving you problems, and you just don't know when to let go, and you're putting money into it. It's kind of like that buy and hold. At some point, sometimes there's stuff telling you it's time to move on, it's time to get out. And then what you're talking about, fundamentals, is a great point of that, because there are certain times when it makes sense to, and especially in those retirement years, it really makes a lot of sense to watch those even more.
Yeah, most definitely. If you're approaching retirement or already in retirement and you're not 100% sure on what sort of structure you have in your portfolio, we'd love to offer you a free second opinion, and just give the number on the screen a call. We'd love to sit down with you and just have a conversation about your retirement planning.
Yeah. Guys, in the next segment, I'm going to talk about the power of indexing. Now, there's some financial instruments out there, typically with insurance companies, right, that offer complete downside protection, but will tie your income maybe to a market. So you get the upside, but none of the downside. So we're going to talk about it in the next segment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. I'm sitting here with Larry Flynn, one of the lead advisors at Centennial Wealth Advisory, offices in Traverse City, Petoskey, Gaylord, all over the north. And Larry, this week we're talking about the power of indexing. I know you're very familiar with that. And why don't we start here? Why don't we start with the bond side? Okay. Interest rates and bonds and how they all correlate and how indexing helps. Why don't we start with that? What are your, help the viewers understand interest rates and bond values. What's going on there?
Okay. Well, Mike, this is something very, very important to understand. We have been in a declining interest rate market for probably 35, 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
If you go back to 1980, the 10-year Treasury was just under 16%.
Holy cow. Wait, so 10 years, you could lend the money, you could give your money to the government, and they would give you for 10 years almost 16% interest per year, and then give you your principal back at the end.
That's right.
Sounds like a sweet deal to me.
Now imagine doing income planning in that day.
Yeah, right? Easy. Easy peasy.
Very easy. Well, fast forward to 2000, the 10-year Treasury rate is now just under 7%.
Okay.
Fast forward to, I think it was a year and a half ago, okay, they hit a historic low of 1.36%.
Wait, so we went from 16 down to about 1.
That's right.
Holy cow.
That's right.
Now, what kind of impact does that have on bond values as it's happening?
Well, as interest rates are going down, that makes bond values go up. Okay?
All right.
But the opposite holds true. Okay? When interest rates rise, bond values can go down.
Okay, so we've seen that happening here, well, really kind of the past year, right? We've seen interest rates are starting to go up.
Right.
So have bond values then been going down?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
And here's how it works. A lot of people go, well, I don't understand the interrelationship there. How does that happen? Well, let's just say I have a bond today paying 3%, right? And tomorrow, because rates are rising, I can get a bond paying 4 or 5%, right? Mm-hmm. Who wants my bond paying 3%?
Yeah, if you tried to sell that 3% bond, people would pay less money, because for the same money, they can go buy one, give them more interest.
That's right. Because what's going to happen is, now depending on the maturity, but let's just say it's a 5-year maturity. So what's the discount going to be to that bond fund for losing 1%, 2% over the next 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, it adds up. So now, how does the power of indexing help clients and investors? How does it help them in that type of environment?
Well, today in most indexing strategies, the concept is very simple. When markets are not cooperating or going down, you make nothing. Okay? That's your base. You're not going to go below where you started, okay?
All right.
But when markets are cooperating, most indexing strategies are going to tie their rate of return to the upside.
So in other words, they get some of the upside or a portion of the upside, but none of the downside.
Right.
Who does that kind of thing?
Well, typically when you're dealing with those kind of financial instruments, you're in the insurance world.
So insurance companies do that. Do banks do it as well?
Banks have their own version of these, what they call equity-linked CDs.
Okay, so you've got banks do this kind of stuff, insurance companies do this kind of stuff, and depending on how this is all structured, can they be used as an alternative to bonds?
Yes, they can.
And does it work pretty well?
Yeah, because one, they can typically get you, if markets again are cooperating, they can give you a little better yield on your investments, most traditionally to what bonds did in the past, and you have safety.
Okay, so you get to go up when times are good, but safety when times are bad.
That's right.
So that works on the bond side. Now, what about, let's say you have investors that are a little more conservative on their, they want to grow their money, but they want to be conservative. Does that approach Are there other types of strategies, indexing strategies that might be helpful for them?
Well, I dare say, we think that person that just wants to be safe, right, that might be the strategy. But in all honesty, for somebody that's actually trying to grow a portfolio, it can work very well too. So if you go back to 2000, right, we watched the market drop to half its value, 2000, 2002, right, and then again in 08. Well, had I just had an account that made just a little over 4% every single year with no down, right, during that period, I probably would have been at the same point as a person taking all the risk in the market.
So what you're saying is, person A says, I'm going to be 100% in the market for my growth. And since 2000 to the end of 2017, I think the math is that about 4.5% compounded rate of return. Someone who's earning 4 or 5% a year safely with no downside would have been at the same point, but a lot, a smoother path, a lot more comfortable path. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right.
Okay, so indexing can help us then, Larry, if I'm correct. It can help us with bond alternatives. It can help us with maybe a more conservative way to grow our money. So it can work in a couple of different areas. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, fantastic. Larry, thank you. That was fantastic information. Really appreciate it. Folks, I thought that was great. I hope you did too. And I don't want you going anywhere. We've got still a lot of wonderful information for you. We'll be right back.
Are you an employee who's participating in a 401k plan? Are you aware that in some cases you might be able to roll out of the plan even though you are still working? Are you tired of the choices you have and possibly the lack of professional help in getting you to your retirement goals? If you're looking for an alternative approach to help you protect your hard-earned retirement savings, then we might be able to help. You may be entitled to an in-service rollover of your 401k plan. A rollover to a self-directed IRA may be an appropriate solution for you. Contact us at Centennial Wealth Advisory today. Take control of your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory can help. Please call the number on your screen.
NMC Extended Education is introducing an educational class titled Retirement Secrets, Your Best Is Yet to Come. Our very own Larry Flynn will be the presenter. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, then this class is for you. Many things can threaten your ability to outlive your assets and retire well. The three big things being healthcare, inflation, and taxes. Learn to navigate the critical issues that a retiree must deal with. You'll learn how to plan for a predictable and sustainable income, minimize taxes on your IRAs, maximize your Social Security benefits, and avoid estate planning mistakes. We'll also discuss long-term care concerns and what investments are appropriate in different situations. The cost is only $69. Materials will be provided, and a spouse or guest may attend for free. The class will be held on 2 Wednesday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m., June 12th and June 19th at the NMC Great Lakes campus. Reserve your seats today by calling NMC at 231-995-1700. The class is called Retirement Secrets. Again, that number is 231-995-1700.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, guys, have you ever seen that movie Free Solo?
No.
Oh, man. You guys know I have a terrible fear of heights, right? Well, this guy, what he did is he's rock climbing this. It's a huge challenge. I can't even remember the mountain, but it's a cliff, just like straight up. And he's doing this without ropes, without a parachute. Now,
He's got no safety harness or anything.
no safety, no safety. And now, I had to walk out of the theater a couple times because I could not watch it. In practicing this, he'd go up with the ropes and practice certain places where it was going to be tough. And there was times he got to certain places, he literally did fall.
Oh boy.
Right? And then the ropes caught him. And so he practiced all these areas, and so now we've watched him fall. And now when the day he decides to go up there and do Free Solo, there's none of that. So now I liken that to investing. When we're in the market, if we don't have proper precautions in place or safety measures in place, you know, it can fall. We can, you know.
Right, and that's where you're talking about like the power of indexing and everything. And I think of with a client that came to us a few years ago and everything, and he was talking about how he was getting ready to retire. This would have been back in that 2008 time frame, and how markets were sliding, and basically said, well, I'm just going to keep working to recover that. Well, 5 years later, he finally recovered from that and was at a point where he said, guys, I don't want to experience that ever again. Those were 5 years of my life that I can't get back. And so how that power of the indexing may have been really valuable for at least a piece of his overall retirement plan as he approached retirement.
Yeah. So if you're somebody out there that's in retirement or nearing retirement, and maybe you're thinking it's time to maybe put one of those safety harnesses in on the mountain before maybe you free fall backwards, and if you're planning for retirement, give us a call. And there's really no better time for a second opinion than now. We've had a great run up in the market, and maybe there's a time to put that clip in and protect your future retirement and your lifestyle ahead.
Now, guys, the next segment, what we're going to talk about is how to calculate Social Security. Okay. It's actually a pretty complicated formula that they go through, but I'm going to try to make it simple for people to kind of understand how their benefits are calculated. Sure. So anyway, stay tuned. We're going to show you that. Hi, welcome back. Now, have you ever wondered how they calculate what your Social Security benefit is going to be? Now, folks, it's kind of a complicated formula. But basically, they take all your working years, okay? So they'll go back over all those years. If you get your Social Security benefit statement, you'll see that they've recorded that. All those years that you were putting into the Social Security system, they're looking at that amount of wages you had, all right? Now, what they do is they go back all those years, and they take the top 35 years. Now think about it, when you were maybe 16 and you had your first job, you didn't make a whole lot, well, most likely if you've been working more than 35 years, that's not even going to count, okay? So they take your top 35 years, okay, and then they index them to an amount based on whatever the average wage was when you were age 60. All right, so once you reach the age of 60, they look across the nation, they take what is the average wage, and then they go back to all those 35 years we were talking about, and they index them for inflation based on how long ago they were. So if it was 35 years ago, you can imagine they're going to give you greater weight for those wages in that year because of inflation, and they're going to match it up or index it to those average wages, like I said, at age 60. Now, they'll take all those years indexed again for inflation, and then they'll come up with an average. Okay, so let's just say they've taken all those years, they took your top 35, indexed them for inflation, and the average monthly amount that you earned ends up being $5,000 per month. $5,000 per month. So now they're going to take that number and they're going to try to determine what your benefit, your Social Security benefit, is going to be at full retirement age. So follow along with me here. Take that average monthly income of $5,000, okay? They're going to give you 90% of the first $926 of wages you have. 90%. So what's that going to come out to? That's going to come out to $833. Now think about it. For somebody that didn't make a whole lot in their earnings years, look what they're giving you, 90% at least. So at the very least, if somebody had, you know, not a lot of income, but, you know, had significant wages that were low, they're at least going to get that. Now, the amount that's above $926, but up to $5,583, they're going to give you 32% benefit of. All right? So again, going back to this example, that average monthly amount was $5,000. So what are they going to get? They're going to get 32% of $4,074, which is going to give them $1,303. Again, the difference between $926 and $5,000, $4,074, they're going to give you 32% of that. So now that's $1,303. Now, unfortunately, this person didn't make over $5,500, so they're not going to get any benefit of this next one, which is 15%. So if I'm a high-income individual, made a lot of money over the years, guess what? They're not giving you a whole lot more once you get over this amount. So what's that benefit total? I don't get anything here. Okay, so that benefit at full retirement age is going to be $2,136 per month. $2,136 per month. Now, remember, that's at full retirement age. Remember we talked about this in the early segment. What if I take it at age 62? Well, most likely it's going to be 25% less than this because I'm taking it early. What's that amount come out to? That's going to come out to $1,602. But if I wait to age 70, all right, remember at full retirement age it's going to give me another 32%. All right, so if I get to age 70, now my benefit is going to be $2,819. Think about that. That's significant, and that's guaranteed for the rest of my life and has cost of living adjustments associated with it. If I don't have pension income, that's something that's very important. Folks, we can do an analysis for this for you. We can look at your benefits at full retirement age. We can look at your savings. We can look at, what kind of income you think you need, and we can develop a plan for you. So I encourage you, give us a call. If this is something you want us to work out for you, then give us a call.
Today's retirement challenges can be mastered. Knowledge is power because you can confidently plan ahead and make educated financial decisions for a successful and comfortable retirement. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning, serving all of northern Michigan with offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. And we invite you to an informative and exciting live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner. You'll learn highlights of the new Tax Reform Act, the difference between the fiduciary and suitability standard of care, how an IRA gets taxed to a surviving spouse, how two similar portfolios can end up with two drastically different results, what a bull market is and how long it can last, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Thursday, June 13th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important live event. Educated financial decisions. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Boy, what a great segment, Larry. A really interesting piece and the in-depth of that. That's such a critical piece of folks' retirement.
Yeah, and so again, if you're approaching retirement or already in retirement and a number of these different topics that we've discussed on today's show may have caught your attention, we'd love to just sit down with you, offer a no cost, no obligation, second opinion, and just maybe dive into your specific retirement planning and looking at your income plan, your investment plan, tax plan, estate plan, insurance plan, all those different areas. So we'd love that opportunity just to sit down with you. So feel free to give the number on the screen a call. Thanks again.